I mean, because look, the bottom line is if the stimulus had not passed when it passed, and they had said, we're going to go for a $1.3 or $1.5 trillion stimulus, and it has not passed, 6 months down the road, the pressure to do something would have been so great that they probably would have had a chance to pass something like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they would have just explained the stimulus in clear numbers, that this is the fact, okay?
You have an output gap of $2 trillion. You need to fill that hole.
Exactly. Basically, they could have. I understand there was political constraints on the first stimulus, but let's just say, okay, fine. It was very clear in August 2010 that the stimulus was not big enough and the economy was slumping back into a recession. And you had progressive groups and Democratic leaders going to President Obama and saying, you have to push for jobs, and said, no, we'll offend independent voters. We can't do that. We got to get serious about cutting spending. So from a year onwards, they focused on cutting spending, not talking about jobs, not selling the stimulus, not selling another stimulus, no government role in the economy, just cutting jobs, cutting spending. And this is where we're at. We're at President Obama's approval rating at an all-time low. We're at the recession back in full force. We're at a possibility that there's no room to maneuver. Obama has to give a jobs speech followed by a deficit speech. I mean, that's crazy. That's like canceling out. One
Right.
just cancels out the other. So, I mean, I just find it, I mean, how does John Chait rationalize the fact that Obama's doing so poorly? Is it really the left's fault? I mean, I don't see how you can find any evidence based on the last year of how Obama has governed.
See, I mean, that is the other thing, too, is I would like to hear from John Chait who it is that has the right idea here. I mean, because we know that the Republicans, and that is the premise of his piece, essentially, that the Republicans are knee-jerk in opposition to President Obama. They're crazy. They're just going to be obstacles. So why has President Obama lost everyone else? According to Jonathan Chait, it would have to be because liberals did not get on board with his policies, and which is just absurd, because liberals don't even have the capacity to push their own supposed liberal progressive legislators in the right place. How could they possibly be impacting the rest of the policy? I mean, the rest of the public opinion on Obama. I mean, clearly what we see again is that the liberal activist base is in fact more of a bellwether than anything else. I mean,
yeah,
you can look at this in terms of...
Certainly on the economy. I mean, basically...
But look at it. I mean, I'm talking about over the past 10 years. I mean, if you look about it in terms of Iraq, if you look about it in terms of Joe Lieberman, I mean, because Joe Lieberman won because there was a deficit of a Republican candidate in Connecticut. Had there been a real Republican candidate, you'd have Ned Lamont, as bad of a campaigner as he was, he'd be the senator of Connecticut. If you look at the stimulus, if you look at jobs, if you look at anything down, if you look at the public's disposition towards the healthcare reform, time and time again, the progressive liberal activist base has been nothing but a bellwether for where public opinion was going to go. I mean, there is just multiple examples of this over and over and over again. And yet you have people like Jonathan Chait in there as if they're protecting literally only their job.
No, I mean, it is surprising. I mean, it's surprising to me that you would have a pundit making this argument. I mean, I can understand a paid Obama advisor making this argument, but I have a hard time seeing someone like Jonathan Chait, who's a smart guy. I'm just having trouble seeing why they are blaming Obama's problems on the left when it's been very, very obvious that Obama has not governed as a leftist president, certainly not in the last year, has not listened to the left, and his entire strategy has been in opposition to the left, right, Sam? I mean, his entire strategy of being the most reasonable person in the room has been to push off the left and say, I'm fighting my own party. And it's gotten him absolutely nowhere. I mean, he's losing support among independent voters, and he's losing support among Democratic and progressive voters. And really, the reason he's doing so badly in the polls right now is because his numbers are starting to crater among his own base. And that's who he needs to hold. In 2004, George W. Bush was not a popular president, but he held his own base and was managed to squeak by. And that really should be the lesson for Obama in 2012. A lot of the country's not going to like him, but if he can hold on to his own group of people and just persuade enough of the country that what he did was the best course of action, then he can probably squeak out the election. But if he turns his back on the very people that worked so hard for him in 2008, then he's going to have absolutely no chance in 2012.
And I can't emphasize this enough. When we say that he has turned his back on his base, he's not just choosing policies that happen to be different from what his base wants. If his base was not in opposition to that, he would create it as part of a strategy. In other words, if there was no liberals crying out like, hey, we don't like what you're doing, he would create that because according to his strategy, which is to be seen as being in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I basically think every single time, until perhaps very recently, when the base has been mad, I think Obama's advisors have been happy. I mean, I think that's how they want to position him for 2012. I think they're belatedly realizing that that's not a good strategy because what's happening is they're losing independent voters anyway, and then what the base wants and what independent voters want is the exact same thing, which is you need to start creating jobs, you need to get the economy moving, and if you don't do that, then no amount of hippie punching will save you for 2012.